Welcome to the ultimate guide on how to prepare for the unexpected. I'm here to show you the top cheap items you need to stockpile right now to build your long-term food supply before it's too late. Look, times are uncertain, and food shortages? They're no longer just a distant possibility. They're happening right around us. Shelves are running empty faster than they're being restocked. Don't get caught unprepared. When disaster strikes, the last thing you want is to be standing in a grocery store rush fighting over a can of beans. Today, I'm sharing essential, affordable food items you can start collecting immediately. Small investments that could literally mean the difference between survival and desperation. Rice, beans, canned goods, pasta, these are just the basics. But there's more to it than you think. I'll reveal hidden gems that are cheap yet critical for stockpiling. You'll learn how to stretch your budget while stockpiling enough food to sustain you and your loved ones for months, maybe even longer. Time is ticking. If you're not prepared, you're vulnerable. But together, we'll make sure you're ready for anything. Watch closely, your future might depend on it. 1. Buy sugar. When it comes to building a long-term food supply, sugar is one of the most versatile and essential items to have in your stockpile. I always make sure to keep at least 50 pounds of sugar on hand because it serves so many purposes. Whether I'm baking, sweetening tea or coffee, or even making jams and preserves, sugar is a staple I simply can't do without. It's comforting to know that it has an incredibly long shelf life when stored properly, especially if you keep it in an airtight container to protect it from moisture and pests. Sugar is also more than just a sweetener. It's a key ingredient in countless recipes, from breads and cakes to marinades and sauces. Beyond everyday cooking, it can be incredibly valuable in emergencies. Having sugar allows me to prepare morale-boosting treats, which is something I think is really important in a stressful situation. Little things like that can go a long way in maintaining a sense of normalcy during uncertain times. Another thing I've noticed about sugar is its usefulness in food preservation. Making jams, jellies, and syrups with a surplus of fresh fruit wouldn't be possible without it. And as someone who enjoys canning, I appreciate how sugar helps extend the shelf life of my homemade goods. If you're starting to build your food storage, I highly recommend prioritizing sugar as one of the first things to stockpile. It's cheap, stores well, and is useful for so many purposes. You might not realize how often you use it until you don't have it on hand. For me, it's one of the most valuable items to ensure my family stays prepared no matter what. 2. Rice. When building a long-term food supply, rice is hands down one of my go-to items. Specifically, I like to stockpile long-grain white rice because it's affordable, versatile, and has an impressive shelf life. For just $9.99, you can get 20 pounds of rice. That's a lot of meals for a small investment. Rice is one of those pantry staples you can count on in any situation, whether it's during an emergency or simply for an easy dinner night. The fact that it lasts over 10 years when stored properly makes it a no-brainer for long-term prepping. What I love most about rice is its versatility. You can pair it with just about anything: beans, canned vegetables, or even freeze-dried meat to create filling and nutritious meals. It's like a base canvas that works with a variety of flavors and cuisines, which is important when you're looking to maintain variety and avoid food fatigue in a stockpile diet. Personally, I prefer to store it in airtight containers or mylar bags with oxygen absorbers to ensure maximum shelf life and protection from pests and moisture. Another thing to consider is how easy rice is to prepare. With just water and heat, you can cook up a satisfying meal in minutes, making it a reliable choice in a crisis when resources might be limited. And don't forget, rice also provides a good source of carbohydrates, which is essential for energy during tough times. For me, having a solid supply of long-grain white rice is one of the smartest, cheapest, and most practical steps to building a long-term food supply. It's simply a prepper's must-have. 3. Flour. Flour is one of the most essential and versatile items you can add to your long-term food supply. And at 50 liters for just $16, it's an incredibly budget-friendly choice. Personally, I see flour as the backbone of any pantry, especially for emergency preparedness. With flour, I can make bread, pancakes, biscuits, tortillas, and even pasta from scratch, ensuring that my family has access to staples no matter the situation. What I love about flour is how long it can last when stored properly. To get the most out of your stockpile, I always recommend repackaging flour into airtight containers or mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This keeps it fresh and safe from pests for years. If you store it in a cool, dry place, even better. Long-term storage is all about taking those small steps to ensure your supplies stay usable when you need them most. Another reason I prioritize flour is its versatility in supplementing meals. If protein-heavy cans or frozen meats start running low, I know I can rely on hearty options like homemade bread or pancakes to stretch resources further. During emergencies, comfort foods like these can boost morale while keeping everyone full. Whether you're a skilled baker or just starting out, flour is one of the easiest ingredients to work with. It gives me peace of mind knowing I have the capability to create food from such a simple and economical item. Plus, flour can even be traded or shared with neighbors, which is another reason I consider it a must-have for any prepper's stockpile. At such an affordable price for 50 Ls, it's a small investment for something with such a big impact. I wouldn't build a long-term food supply without it. 4. Oats. Oats are one of my top recommendations when it comes to affordable and versatile items to stockpile for a long-term food supply. At just $10 for 25 pounds, they offer incredible value for anyone looking to build up their pantry on a budget. Not only are oats cost-efficient, but they're also a highly nutritious and filling food option, making them perfect for emergency preparedness or daily consumption. One of the best things about oats is their versatility. They can be used to prepare a variety of meals and snacks. I personally enjoy using them to make oatmeal, which is a warming and hearty breakfast that can be customized with nuts, dried fruits, or sweeteners. They're also an essential ingredient in homemade granola, which is a great snack or topping for yogurt. And of course, I can't forget how amazing they are for baking. Oats add a chewy texture to cookies and other baked goods, making them ideal for occasional treats. When properly stored, oats have an impressive shelf life. By keeping them in a cool, dry place and sealing them in airtight containers or buckets, they can last for years without going bad. This makes them a reliable staple for any long-term food supply plan. I also find that oats are a great source of fiber, which is crucial for maintaining digestive health, especially when fresh produce might not always be available during an emergency. Another bonus is that oats are quick and easy to prepare. Whether cooked on the stovetop or simply soaked overnight, they require minimal effort and can be made with basic ingredients. Their ease of use and nutritional benefits make them a must-have in any stockpile. For me, oats are an essential part of building a practical and sustainable food reserve. 5. Cereal. When it comes to stocking up on affordable food for long-term storage, cereals are a fantastic option that I always keep in mind. They're budget-friendly, versatile, and have a decent shelf life, making them a staple in my stockpile. For just $1.99 a box, I can add Cheerios and Quaker Squares to my pantry. These are great not just for breakfasts, but also as snacks or even as additions to some baking recipes. I love that they're light, easy to store, and can serve multiple purposes in my household. Malto-meal cereals, which come in larger bags, are another great choice at $2.99 per bag. These are perfect if you're feeding a family or planning for longer-term use, since the bags last longer and provide more servings compared to traditional boxed cereals. Plus, they taste great and are an excellent source of quick energy when you need it. When I buy cereals for stockpiling, I make sure to check the expiration dates and rotate them regularly. While cereals don't last indefinitely, as long as they're stored in a cool, dry place, they can stay fresh well beyond their best buy date, especially when sealed properly. If space is an issue, I sometimes transfer them into airtight containers to keep them fresh and pest-free. Cereals are also an affordable, calorie-dense food that can help sustain you during emergencies or tight financial times. The mix of whole grains and fortifications with vitamins and minerals makes them a solid choice for nutrition. Whether it's grabbing them on sale or buying in bulk, cereals are always a part of my long-term food supply strategy. They're a simple, cost-effused way to add variety and balance to an emergency or everyday food stockpile. 6. Peanut butter. Peanut butter is one of the top items I always recommend for building a solid, long-term food supply. It's versatile, nutrient-dense, and incredibly affordable when bought in bulk. At just $0.99 per jar when you purchase a case of 12, this is a budget-friendly option that provides both protein and healthy fats, making it an ideal choice for anyone preparing for emergencies or simply looking to stock up on pantry essentials. One of the reasons I prioritize peanut butter in my stockpile is because of its long shelf life. Unopened jars can typically last up to 2 years or more depending on storage conditions, which makes it a reliable item for long-term storage. It doesn't require refrigeration, and the sturdy jars make it easy to stack and store. For anyone prepping on a budget, the cost per serving value is hard to beat, especially when you find deals like this. I love how practical peanut butter is, whether as a quick snack with crackers or bread, stirred into oatmeal, or even used in baking. Peanut butter cookies, for example, are a morale booster in tough times and one of my go-to comfort foods. Its creamy consistency also makes it an appealing option for both kids and adults, so everyone in the household will benefit from this staple. Buying a case of 12 jars not only saves money, but also ensures that I always have a steady supply on hand. Plus, knowing that peanut butter is nutrient-rich gives me extra peace of mind. It's items like this that help me feel prepared for anything, and I highly recommend adding it to your list if you're aiming to build a long-term food stockpile on a budget. 7. Mac and cheese. When it comes to stocking up on cheap, long-term food items, mac and cheese is always on my list. At just $0.39 a box when buying a case of 24, it's incredibly affordable and a great way to add variety to your food supply. Personally, I love how quick and easy it is to prepare, which makes it a lifesaver during busy days or emergencies when cooking elaborate meals isn't an option. All you need is water, a bit of milk, and butter, which you could substitute for powdered forms in a pinch, and you've got a comforting, filling dish ready to go in minutes. I always make sure to keep a few cases of mac and cheese on hand because it checks a lot of boxes for me when planning for long-term storage. First, its shelf life is impressive, with most boxes staying fresh for 2 years or more if stored properly in a cool, dry place. Second, a single box goes a long way. One box can make enough to satisfy a small family, and you can even stretch it further by mixing in vegetables, canned tuna, or other protein staples you might have stocked. Another reason I always include mac and cheese in my stockpile is that it's a kid-friendly option. If you're prepping for a family, it's important to stash foods that kids will actually eat, especially during uncertain times. Mac and cheese fits the bill perfectly, and there's something comforting about its creamy, cheesy flavor that makes it feel like a little treat, even when everything else feels uncertain. Stocking up on food doesn't have to be expensive or bland, and mac and cheese is a great example of combining affordability, versatility, and taste. I've found it to be a smart, easy addition to my stockpile, and I highly recommend it. 8. Evaporated milk. Evaporated milk is one of those versatile and affordable items that I believe should always be part of a long-term food supply. A case of 24 cans is a smart stockpile choice, especially since it serves so many purposes in cooking and baking. I find it particularly useful when making creamy dishes like mashed potatoes, as it adds a rich and smooth texture that's hard to replicate with regular milk. Beyond that, it works wonders in recipes for casseroles, soups, and desserts, making it a fantastic multi-purpose ingredient to keep on hand. What I appreciate most about evaporated milk is its longevity. Since it's a shelf-stable product, I don't have to worry about it spoiling quickly like fresh milk. A well-sealed can lasts for months, sometimes even years, which makes it an ideal choice for long-term food storage. Its concentrated nature also means I can dilute it with water if needed to make it similar to liquid milk, or use it as is for a creamier effect in meals. Another reason I stockpile evaporated milk is its nutritional value. It provides essential nutrients like vitamins A and D along with calcium and protein, which are critical in any emergency situation where access to fresh food might be limited. I like knowing I have a reliable source of dairy-based nutrition as part of my preparedness plan. By purchasing a case of 24, I save money over time and ensure that I always have a steady supply for various recipes. For anyone serious about building a long-term food stockpile, evaporated milk is a staple that deserves a spot in your pantry. It's cost-seductive, versatile, and dependable in times of need. 9. Chicken tenders. Chicken tenders are an excellent option for anyone looking to build a long-term food supply on a budget, and I was thrilled to stock up on 40 pounds of them at just $1.75 per pound. Not only do they serve as a versatile protein source, but their affordability makes them a practical choice for families or individuals looking to stretch their food budget while still focusing on nutrient-dense options. One of the key reasons I've added chicken tenders to my stockpile is their flexibility in meal preparation. Whether I'm making hearty soups, stir-fries, or simply baking them for an easy dinner, these tenders provide endless meal options. Plus, their mild flavor allows for a variety of seasoning styles, from bold BBQ and spicy Cajun to lighter herb-based preparations. Whatever the craving, chicken tenders make it easy to adapt. To ensure long-term storage, I immediately portioned the chicken into smaller freezer bags after purchasing it. Each bag was carefully labeled with the date, and I made sure to remove as much air as possible to reduce freezer burn. These steps mean I can pull out exactly what I need without worrying about wasted food. With proper freezing, chicken tenders can maintain their quality for several months to a year, making them the perfect stockpiling item. Additionally, buying in bulk proves to be a cost-efficient strategy, especially as meat prices continue to rise. By purchasing now, I'm not only preparing for future meals but also saving money in the long run. Stocking up on affordable, high-protein items like chicken tenders is an essential step in building a sustainable, budget-friendly food supply that will last. With a little planning and effort, chicken tenders are a smart and savvy choice for food storage. They're a staple I'll rely on again and again. 10. Apple cider. When it comes to cheap items to stockpile, apple cider is definitely one of my top picks. At just 99 cents per bottle for a case, it's a cost-of-food option that offers both versatility and great utility. I always make sure to include it in my long-term food supply because it serves multiple purposes, which is key when planning for emergencies or building a stockpile on a budget. First and foremost, apple cider can be an excellent source of liquid calories. This is especially important during times when energy sources might be limited. Being slightly sweet and full of natural sugars, it can give you a quick burst of energy to power through tough situations. I find that it's not only practical, but also enjoyable to drink, a welcome comfort during uncertain times. Another reason I stock up on apple cider is its usefulness when you're feeling under the weather. There's something soothing about a warm cup of cider when you've got a cold or just need to boost your spirits. It's one of those items that does double duty as both a beverage and a bit of natural medicine. Plus, when the weather is cold, apple cider can be heated to make a delicious, comforting drink that lifts your mood. What I also appreciate about apple cider is its fairly long shelf life, especially when stored in a cool, dark place. For me, it's about finding items that are affordable, multi-purpose, and shelf-stable, and apple cider checks all those boxes. Whether I need something to sip on or an energy boost during a busy day of setting up my stockpile organization, it gets the job done. If you're just starting or expanding your own food supply, apple cider is a smart, inexpensive choice to consider. Key tips. Building a long-term food supply doesn't have to be overwhelming or expensive if you plan wisely and stick to some key tips. Personally, I've found that buying in bulk is one of the easiest ways to save money, but only if I'm confident I'll actually use the items. Wasting food cancels out any potential savings, so I always take inventory at home to avoid overbuying. Essentials like rice, beans, pasta, and canned goods tend to be affordable and have long shelf lives, making them great choices for stockpiling. Another crucial strategy is paying attention to case lot sales and local sales cycles. Grocery stores often have regular discounts on bulk items, and with a little research, I can predict when to stock up. For example, during certain seasons, canned vegetables, soups, and even baking supplies like flour and sugar go on sale. I always make a point to plan these purchases around deals, which has helped me maximize my budget. Storage is another important factor to consider. There's no point in buying items in bulk if I don't have proper storage solutions to ensure they last. For dry goods, I use airtight containers or vacuum seal bags to keep items fresh and free from pests. For canned goods, I organize them by expiration date, so I use the oldest items first. This not only keeps my stockpile organized, but also prevents waste. Finally, I focus on versatility. I stock items I know I can use in multiple meals or recipes. This way, I'm not just hoarding food, but preparing for practical long-term needs. Following these tips has allowed me to build a reliable food supply while sticking to my budget. It's truly a worthwhile effort for peace of mind and preparedness.